Hello and welcome to another episode of the Project Purple podcast. I'm Dino Verley, founder and CEO of Project Purple. We have an exciting interview coming up with a very special guest after a few quick updates. Since 2010, we've contributed over $3 million and counting to pancreatic cancer research efforts. We've also allocated $1 million worth of aid to more than 1,300 patients and families throughout our patient aid programs. Your monthly or one-time gift can improve patients' lives through research and assistance programs. You can donate now at projectpurple.org. Pancreatic cancer does not rest, and neither will we. Your support is truly appreciated. If you're looking to get involved in one of our many events, whether that means joining a run team, participating in a virtual run walk, group fitness, golf, or anything else you can think of, visit projectpurple.org/events to learn more. Without further ado, let's meet our special guest. Coming to us from NYC, alumni, former runner, that is an alumni. So alumni and soon to be, we're how many days are we? 6 days and counting.
6 days.
Project Purple's first, I don't know if you knew this yet, first official 6-star finisher, Bill Nugent. Welcome to the Project Purple podcast, Bill.
Great to see you, Dino. Great to be here.
So that's a bit of a mouthful there. So we've had, let me put this in the context. We've had people do the 6-star that have like picked one or two races for us. But what you're about to accomplish is something really, really special. Try not to get emotional here, Bill. For me, as being the founder, you will be the first person, and I say official, even though we're not in the Tokyo Marathon, but you do something really, really special, and I'm gonna call you out on the spot here. And I'm not throwing shade on anyone, but you always wear the Project Purple singlet, and Tokyo is one of those races where we technically, well, there really isn't a domestic here in the United States charity program for Tokyo. I know they've been talking about it. It's part of the 6 world majors. But you went out just the past couple of weeks and you ran Tokyo and you wore the Project Purple singlet. But all the other 4 races prior to Tokyo, you've always run with Project Purple.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're 6 days from Boston and you'll get your 6-star. But we've got 6, we'll have on Monday, we'll have 6 pictures of you running the 6 world majors in a Project Purple singlet, which is just so freaking awesome. And so special, man. It is just, I can't, probably can't do it justice expressing it here in words, Bill, like what that means to us as an organization, because running is how this whole thing started. Yes, we've evolved. We do a lot of things now. And some of it doesn't even involve, moving your feet in that direction, right? But I always say, it's always special for me, again, being the founder, to come back to our roots. And if you look at where marathoning, before COVID, there was this huge demand for it. COVID came and we all thought the world was going to end and shut down in our own ways, right? We all experienced that in our own way. And then now post-COVID, there's like this massive, 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 massive running boom, in particular with the world majors. And so it's just so cool, and something that, again, like we did since day one back in 2010. And to have you be our first official 6-star finisher is just going to be really, really special for us. And I know for you on Monday. So thank you for joining us here on the podcast. Let's get into your backstory. This is the first time for you. I think we may have done some videos on you with your story. But Bill Nugent's probably a new name that maybe some of our followers haven't heard. And we want to change that. We want to share kind of your backstory, how you got involved with Project Purple, why you got involved with Project Purple. And with that, Bill, I'm going to hand the mic over to you and stop talking here.
Oh, okay. Well, look, I started running as a child, took a long break after that till I was about 42 and picked it back up again because I was getting old and out of shape. And around that time, my mom got sick. And, shortly after I ran my first 5K. And when we learned that, I said, we're going to try and do something special. We're going to raise some money. I'm going to go run a marathon. And this is before I'd learned about Project Purple. We did a good thing and supported a charity and did that. And then a few months after that, I had signed up to run the New York City half and was in the expo, and I picked up my bib, and there was the Project Purple booth. And I mean, I'm already getting teary-eyed and thinking back on it. And one of the team there was there with all the purple swag everywhere, and we started exchanging stories. And there I am, around 5,000-6,000 people, bawling my eyes out and realizing that these were the people I wanted to work with and support and be part of this charity. So now 9 years or so, and then in 2016, when you sent out the emails to invite people to, put forward for slots at the New York City Marathon, that's what I did. And I've kind of kept on with it and really been grateful for the support and the help. And, and then it was Chicago, then it was London, then Berlin, then Tokyo. And on Monday, it's going to be Boston. And I can't believe it. And I was having exchange with your partner Vin last night about getting ready for Boston and all. And he said, what do we have to do something nice for you. You have to do something nice for you. We want to celebrate on Monday. And I said, Vin, look, the charity's given me the chance to run the 6 world majors for my mom, right? And do something good. And that's enough. Like we're good there. So it's I'm so grateful for the support and the family that's there, right? I mean, when you say you are Project Purple, it means a lot. So
Pretty special. Hearing you tell that story, Bill, like I think back to, when we started, and man, we did a lot of expos, and you never know. I always said to the staff, you just never know, right? And I think your story is testament to that, right? You just never know who you're going to touch. And I think if there's one thing that we've always kind of been firm believers here at Project Purple, is there's strength in numbers.
mhm.
And we're going to talk about your mom here in a second. But, this disease is awful. It's the worst. Um, I'll debate that with anyone every day. And I think the one thing that it does is it kind of alienates you as a patient and as a family. You get kind of like this sense of almost hopelessness, right? That you're all alone. And I think the one thing that it's been really, really special for me, is that 2 complete strangers like yourself, and it might have been me or someone else on staff, way back when, or whoever was, with us at that time, um, can connect and find such strength and such grace in something so mean and nasty. And that's something that I've always said, that, there's just strength in community, and to your point, as you said, like I always, yeah, it's kind of the corny thing, right? Like you are Project Purple, but that's the reality,
Mhm.
right? Like it's the community, it's people like yourself. Um, and this is another thing I always say, is you guys allow us to do all the great things. We're just driving the bus, man. I'm just driving this bus. I have no idea where we're going sometimes, which is kind of scary, but we're allowed to do the amazing things and helping so many people and funding so much research over the last couple of years because of our growth, because of guys like you and people like yourselves. So uh, it's really, really special. Let's talk about your mom. I know you mentioned your mom being diagnosed, but for those that maybe don't know your story, hopefully your friends and family listen to this podcast, so they know what they hopefully know a lot about your mom. But what was your mom like, and talk a little bit about her.
Well, she was an amazing woman, like all moms are. but I'll just say maybe mine was a little more amazing. I'm pretty impressed with her. Raised three kids by herself, and everyone's happy and successful, and with families of their own. And it was just after Hurricane Sandy. She'd retired, and she was living on Long Island, just around the corner from my sister. And out where they were, they lost power for 8 or 9 days, and they were staying at she was staying at my sister's house, and sort of working through the no heat and everything else was going on. It's lots of people were affected, and she just didn't feel right. And she never went to the doctor. It was just like pulling teeth with her. And but she was always healthy, and she just didn't feel right. And finally said, "Look, I'm kind of achy. My back hurts. I'm just feel bloated. Something's not right. I'm gonna go get this checked out." And it took a while, you know, talking to her GP, and then going through, maybe it's something gynecological, we don't really know, and we're looking at this and we're looking at that, and lots of blood work, and then finally talking to a cancer specialist. And it happened to be Christmas Eve, and we kind of knew that it was going to be a bad diagnosis, but we didn't know what it was. Christmas Eve, we're at the doctor's office, and remarkable guy, and they fortunately, he and my mother made a really strong relationship, because that helped a lot. And he gave her the news that she had pancreatic cancer, and that it had spread, and it was stage 4. And didn't really have a prognosis at that point, but of course, everybody knows what the prognosis for pancreatic cancer can be, right? We know, and I have, fortunately, when you're affected by this, your family's affected by it. You find out how many other families are affected by this, and we have friends, 2 weeks after the diagnosis, and they lost their dad, right? But so my mom got this turned to us, the three of us, and of course we're all bawling. And she says, "Well, kind of half joking, now we have something to talk about at Christmas dinner." And then, the day after Christmas, or the day after that, she started her chemo, right? So it was really, really quick to get things going. By New Year's Eve, she spent New Year's Eve in the hospital because the chemo had knocked her back so far. She just thought, "This is it, I'm done." And like, systems were shut. I mean, it's just awful. And that situation stabilized. Kind of got that under control, adjusted dosages and the like. And I'm going to guess by March or so, started to get feedback on whether the chemo was working or not, and it wasn't. Nothing was changing. And her doctor decided, "Look, we're not making any progress here. We're going backwards. I'm going to mix up the medicines that we're trying here, and what have you." And so did that for a few months, still kicking her butt. But the tumors then had stabilized, and nothing else was happening. So we stayed on that chemo for a while. What this did, and what this was really gave her a sort of a period of time, about 9 or 10 months, where she was stable and felt pretty good, and was able to visit her sisters and spend time with her grandchildren. We went away up into the Poconos for a family reunion. We went out to the Hamptons to run the Hamptons Marathon. That was the first one. It was her birthday weekend. So we had that. We got fantastic photos. I mean, that's the one that her dressed with the purple boa. That's the one that's on all my charity pages. And it really gave us all a chance to do and say and have the things we wanted to do. By kind of March of the following year, that regimen was no longer effective. and the tumor started growing again, and they got more aggressive. And they were spreading throughout her body. And by, I think, probably June or so, um, she had developed a tumor in her neck that they were treating with directed radiation. And that had the effect of I mean, chemo is awful, radiation is brutal, and it just, it burns you from the inside out. And you know, she had lost a she had already lost weight, but it was sort of in that good period. She'd put some weight back on. Her hair had grown back some. She looked honestly, she looked fantastic. You never would have guessed what she was going through. But when the radiation started, that just absolutely took it out of her. And her throat was burned. She couldn't eat. She couldn't drink. Started losing a lot of weight. And then by the end of the summer, it just wasn't effective. The doctor and her medical team sort of looked, we've done everything we can. We need to enter into a phase of palliative care, and then ultimately into, as things got worse and worse, into hospice, and then shortly thereafter she passed away. So it was a rough road, but there was a period in the middle where there was a real blessing. And I'm so grateful that she took maximum advantage of it. Really to try and spend time with the kids, spend time with the grandchildren, because that was really like, she was the cookie baking grandma. She was the fun grandma. So it was really, really good that way. So
It's almost, and I know I've said this about my own personal journey with this disease. I think sometimes, Bill, we're kind of in the context where this comes from. I'm sure you've met people in life where they lose loved ones, in the middle of the night, and they don't get to have those goodbyes or say those things or do those things. I'm not saying that it's right. Um, I guess I'm the eternal optimist, and I always try to find some sort of positive out of all these negative things. And I just remember really like one of my closest friends. He lost his mom, and he got into like not an argument, but he always said to me, and he was around during that time. He's like, man, like that's so great that you get to say these things to your dad. We know, there's this inevitableness, right? That we all know, and we just don't know when. And that could be said for life, right? Like we just don't
right.
know. Time is what we don't have. But there's something really, I don't know. Maybe the audience listening or watching, if they haven't gone through it, they don't get it as well. But there's something really, really, I think, special about that, to be able to have those kinds of conversations in those moments. And I always tell people, it doesn't mean like anything has to be grandiose, right? Like you don't have to go to Disney World, or go to the seventh game of the Yankees World Series, when they were in the World Series, which seems like eons ago, right? For us here that are Yankee fans. Game 7 of the World Series with your mom or dad, but just to have those moments are just so special because time is not guaranteed. Um, and I think the other piece to some of this, Bill, is almost acceptance a little bit. Not in the sense that we accept the disease or anything along those lines, but just like understanding and like to your point, like you got to do some of these amazing things and say these things that you will hold for the rest of your life with your mom. I just know there's a lot of people out there that don't have that, and that's
Yeah.
really special.
It's so interesting. I reflect back on my own kids, right? My daughter just turned 27. My son's about to turn 25. I remember being at that age, right? And this was out without the benefit of a cell phone and texting and FaceTime and things like that. And looking back and saying, God, I did not call her often enough. Right now, one of the great joys of my life was when I was training for that first marathon. I would do my long runs in this park near the house. And on the way home, I would call her and just chat. And she would tell me what was hurting her that day, and I would tell her what was hurting me, and we would just catch up. Guess what, Mom? I ran 13 miles. The first time I ever did that. 14 miles. I'm getting there. We're gonna have this great weekend. Um, and so when my son and I had a really nice conversation, he came to Japan with me, and it was the first time we've had a boys trip in a while, and we're sitting there, we're having a beer, which was in this cool bar in Japan, and we're talking about this. I'm like, when I ask you to call your mom, I'm not really asking. I'm telling you, call your. This is, and it's not because I'm upset with you, but I didn't get those opportunities when I had I didn't take those opportunities when I had the chance, and now is when you're if you miss them now, they slip away really quick, and you better do it.
Yeah, it's so powerful. And I love that telling your kids, and I've the two boys and they're 20 and 18, so
Right.
not far behind you, but there's often that text goes out, hey, did you call mom today, and just say
Yeah.
hi.
Yeah.
But you know what though, and again, the ultimate optimist here. I don't know if I what if I didn't go through that experience, appreciate, like, I always say, like, again, this is not about me, but just relates to a little bit to this story here, Bill. Wrap up on this point. Like, if I didn't go through that with my dad, I don't know if I would appreciate how much it means to be a dad myself
Yeah.
as a
Yeah. No,
parent.
I completely, when you see when if you have this time, I mean, I hate to say that it's a gift, but in a way it is,
Yeah.
right? This sort of chance to reflect and share and talk and, hear their stories, and sometimes you have to pull it out of them, but you have this moment of like clarity, maybe. I don't,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
and then you sort of like, I'm also stressed. So, so we're sort of taking this loss and then pushing it down to make something good. What's also I find fascinating, and I hope you have the same with your dad, is that now 10 years, she'll be gone 10 years this year. I think about her as much or more now than I did when I was 24, 27 and living my life. And
Yeah.
it's not because I mean, of course there's a sense of loss, but it's also in a very different, through a very different lens of, there's a joy. She'd really enjoy this, or she'd think this was funny, or what would she do or say, right? Or just some memory, right? Some Christmas morning or something, or a regular Saturday morning, and making pancakes, or sitting at her spot was at the end of the dining room table in this little house we had, and in the morning in a robe having her coffee, and that's where she sat, right? And I can picture it with the window behind her and the fence just outside of there, and that's where she sat. And when we had a dog, the dog's head was on her lap. She hated the dog, but unless you caught her in that moment, and she was scratching the dog's head saying, "Oh, you're such a good dog," right? But yeah, no, you tend to think of it's much more almost alive, right? And
Yeah. Well, I think, for you, not to put words in your mouth, but what we're all doing right here at Project Purple, even for people that are going through the fight, or people that are survived, that are running, people that get involved are, finding ways to remember those loved ones, whether they're here or not here. And I think anyone who does that is really, really special, because one, not everyone does that. And I'm not trying to throw shade again against anyone who doesn't do that, but I think it's really, really special that people do that, and it's an honor for us to have the opportunity to allow people to run a race, or pick an event, and to be able to do that in their own special way. And I often tell families as they go through this journey, when they get to that point, not everyone does. Um, because we do have survivors, right? But for those that lose their loved ones, it's important to, like, hold on to those memories and keep those memories alive. And I think, like, what you just spoke to is an amazing way that we honor those folks and we keep those memories alive and we build on those traditions that we created because those don't go away unless we allow it to, right? And that
Mhm.
to me is living. And that's how, like, memories and, it's easy to, I think, with this disease to go down that negative road and be really angry. And everyone's got a right to do that. And I'm not saying that people shouldn't be. That's not what I'm trying to say. But what I am trying to say is it's really special that people remember their loved ones in a very positive and a way that continues to create legacy within those families, however that may be.
Well, I mean, so within those families, and you're not giving yourself enough credit and the Project Purple team enough credit for crafting this incredibly supportive family of team members and family members that are there supporting Project Purple, right? So every month at the runners call, sort of the fall runners call. You guys have a whole bunch of different ones, the
Yeah.
ambassadors. But there's 15, 20, 75. I've been on calls with like 80 or 90 people.
Yeah.
Um, and through that call, everyone is sharing, you know, their concerns, their worries, but also sharing their stories. I mean, it always starts with what's your why? Why are you here? Why are you doing this? Why are you going to go out and run in the rain for 3 hours? And it's really, really powerful, right? It's those memories and kind of keeping that alive and giving purpose to all of this. Um, it's a remarkable community, incredibly supportive. And I mean, that's my favorite part of the whole exercise. And it goes beyond just those phone calls. It's Facebook and it's Instagram and everybody else, their everyone's kids and what's going on. And it's yeah, and their stories.
You're just spilling all the beans on the secrets of Project Purple here, how we do it, Bill. But that's
All right,
okay.
sorry about that. Yeah.
It's all good. I love it. I love it. I want to shift gears here a little bit about your support system through the past 10 years because as I said before, we've gotten to know each other pretty well. So I know a little bit about your backstory. There's getting to know you over the last 10 years, whether it's been in Chicago or New York,
Mhm.
even in London.
Yep.
So let's talk a little bit about those supports. And there's two that I want to kind of hit here. Is one, I know you're pretty involved in the running community there in northern New Jersey.
Mhm.
I'm going to butcher it here, which the De Novo, I think it is, running
De
club.
novo Harriers. Yeah,
De
they're
Novo
they're
Harriers.
yeah.
And I know you volunteered at the New York City Marathon, which is just so
Mhm.
awesome. You're the guy that throws it out. You mentioned the alumni page. Hey, whether you're working the cheer zone or whether you're at an aid station with your run club or by
Mhm.
yourself, you're always like posting pictures or stuff with like the random project,
Yeah.
which to me is just so awesome, man. Like again, from the founder standpoint, like when again, complete strangers in the world's largest marathon getting photo ops to me is just like that's divine
Mhm.
intervention or great. So let's talk about the running community first, and then I'm going to talk about some other folks that have been familiar on the
Okay.
Project Purple scene over the last 10 years.
Yeah.
So what's it been like for the run community there?
Well, look, you find your tribe, right? You need you and I'm a big fan of the book Atomic Habits, and you find people that think like you do and support what you do, and it makes it easier to do. That this running club, which will also celebrate 10 years this year, is a group in northern New Jersey, Bergen County, called the De Novo Harriers, and their motto is any place, any pace, always fun and always ridiculously supportive. And every running club, every community has its own personality, but
Yeah.
this one really is, it doesn't matter if you're walking or you're doing a, 2.5 hour marathon, right? Everybody's welcome. Everyone's there to cheer you on. And whatever, if someone is struggling, has had let's say a family emergency, the news goes out and there's a meal train setting up to make sure that they're taken care of, right? It with my own the support I get from them with these runs, whether it's donations or, hey, I've got to go out at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to do a 15-mile run. I'll come with you, right? You shouldn't have to do that alone. And that's really the nature of the organization. And it's really remarkable. And as I'm training for these things, people know why I'm doing the races, and they know it's important. And then, so they're always there to help me, and it's great. And we do volunteer at the New York City Marathon every year. We say it's always at mile 21, right when the runners come back into Manhattan. It's right before you start that long climb up
Fifth Ave.
the hill to down. As you go down Fifth Avenue, you're actually going uphill towards Central Park, and it's brutal. And it's late in the day, and people are tired, and and you're there to cheer them on and support them. And that's really what the club picked that spot, because that's where people need the support. And now that people know that I'm always there with my purple hat, and I'm wearing my De Novo jacket, but I've got my purple hat on, and we see the 50 to 75 Project Purple runners coming through, they can have a second cup of water. We'll give them an extra banana if they need it. And so they all know why we're there and what we're doing, and what the club is for, and what the charity's for. It's a fantastic organization. So
Love it.
yeah.
I love it. I love it. Second support system here has been your wife, Sandy. I think we full disclosure, I think we still have some of your signage that the family used.
I think
through
you
the
do,
years.
yeah, from Chicago.
Yeah, that was just like so cool. We're like, oh, we got to keep that. But she's always been a fixture, along with other members of your family at many of the races that you've been involved with Project Purple. And I always tend to say, like, especially when you have kids, you have a job, no one does it alone. This whole thing, fundraising that we ask you to do, the training, not that we twist anyone's arm, but you got to go out and run the miles. You actually got to put in the work. So it's always like kind of a family affair, I guess I would say, when it comes to people who have families in this. And so let's talk a little bit about Sandy and the other parts of your family that have been there for many of your events, many of your races, I should say, here with Project Purple.
Sandy puts up with an awful lot, right? I mean, there is a pile of smelly sneakers by the front door. There's always a pile of wet clothes around that's my job. She's not touching them. But she just has to be downwind of them. And she's there, every race. She goes out. She will not be embarrassed for me to admit she is not great at direction, right? So she will get lost. We mapped out when we met in London, and she saw me at mile 13 and then mile 20, and then had to make her way to the finish area. We'd gone that route 3 or 4 times to make sure she was practiced. So she is my friend that meets me at the end, and she always has a giant oatmeal raisin cookie for me. And we always have a good time, and we make a celebration out of it. She knows it means an awful lot to me, and she's always there. I mean, it doesn't rain or shine, it's just, I wish everyone has Sandy somewhere in their life. So she's
awesome.
great. And then the rest of my family, and both my sisters are fantastic and an amazing help with all of this. We get involved in and I'm excited. I'm eager to volunteer at the golf tournament again this year. Got that on the calendar. But we do that, and haven't picked up pickleball yet, but if I figure it out, then I'll come and do the tournament for that too.
Your orthopedic will even love you even more, because I think that's like between CrossFit and pickleball now are like the number 2 reasons why people see an orthopedic. And I think running now is like 3rd. So they're pissed at runners. They want them to do more pickleball and like CrossFit. Yeah. Couple of questions here left, and then we're going to share with our audience where they can donate, follow you, and everything as you approach Boston here on Monday, Marathon Monday, Patriots Day in Massachusetts. What's been your What now this relates to the races that you've done with us, the time you've been involved with us, because you have fundraised. What's been the hardest part about being a charity runner, in your opinion? And there's no right or wrong to this. This is just like your experience, the races you've done, and what you've experienced.
Well, I think it learning to be an effective charity runner. Um, you have to learn to be willing to reach out to people, right? Posting it on Facebook and Instagram will get you so far, right? But you need to ask people. You need to tell them why this is important, why it's important to you, and you need to ask them to contribute. And when people understand that this is really important, they're very, very giving. And but you have to be able to make that leap to hit big goals, and we need big goals, right? You have to. This is an important thing. You need to really get there. So I think that's the running is just the work you have to do, right? You got to get there. You got to make sure you're healthy. But I think that realize what's the worst that someone's going to tell you no, right? And it's a rare time that happens. So reaching out, and sometimes you have to reach out a couple of times, and that gets a little tough. But you just have to. If you don't ask, you don't get.
So powerful. I love your answer to that, and I love the whole thing because I've always said, we can teach you strategies, we can share with you new ideas, but you've got to actually do the asking, and that's the power of. And if you can get over, yeah, someone's going to say no. Who cares? Like, and it doesn't make them a bad person.
No,
It just is
and they
what
may
it
have other
is.
priorities in their life
Yeah,
or a charity that's close to them,
which is
and that's
fine.
all okay. That's all
Yeah,
okay, right?
rejection's fine. Rejection's
Yeah.
fine. It's just a matter of just got to keep asking. Um, so contrast to that question, what's been the easiest part?
Oh, I have to say, in the races themselves, right? That's the icing on the cake, right?
Some people might be like, "What are you talking about? That's
It's
26.2
not,
miles,
yeah, but
Bill."
you've run hundreds of miles to get there. You've asked your friends and family to go help you in 100 different ways. Um, at this point, you show up you have no control over the weather. You have no control how the day is going to go. You rely on your training. You know, I've taken the view that I'm funding these races. I just want to get to the finish, right? I look, I want to have all the selfies. I want to, have all the high fives from the little kids, right? There was this Chicago, I think 2019. Um, it's like mile 8 or 9, and this little girl, maybe 4 or 5 years old, in a purple coat, sees me in all my purple gear, and she's waving to me, and and I see her, and we lock eyes, and I'm going to give her a high five, and I'm going to tell her that this is the best high five on the whole course. And as I'm running towards her, it was a rainy day, and I put my right foot in a puddle that went like half up my shin, right? Um, and but I give her the high five anyway. I'm like, oh God, this is gonna be a long day, but it was still great, right? And that's the icing on the cake. It was no different. I've got a great picture from London where London's famous for being majorly a charity race, mostly
Yeah.
charity runners, and passing a guy dressed up as Big Bird. So I beat Big Bird, right? That's a good memory, and that's easy. Doing that is easy.
Yeah, it's kind of a contrast between London and Boston in terms of their costume policy because London is notorious for people dressing up. And I was just looking over the spectator guide for Boston, and it was like no masks,
Nothing.
no costumes. Um, yeah, it's so fascinating, and I love that. I love that answer. What's been your favorite, and this is a hard one, again, there's no right or wrong. What's been your favorite moment of all your races up until now?
Oh, okay. Passing Big Bird was pretty good. that was a big moment. So that was absolute joy. One that uh, was touching. Chicago 2019 was on the 5th anniversary of the day my mom passed. And on the back of my singlet, I had written 5 years ago today, miss you, Mom. And so many people patted me on the back and had kind words. And yeah, that was really something else.
I think running is so magical for what you just described, Bill, because unlike any sport, like you can connect with complete strangers just by, like, to your point, what's written on the back of your symbol. And I've always said this is kind of the power for each individual runner to have these special moments. I know we were talking about before, being in New York at the aid station, you would post like these selfies with like some of these Project Purple runners that you had no idea with, but they had that Project Purple singlet on, and it's just so powerful. Like I don't think there's any other mass sporting event that happens to, right? Like I guess you could say like, well, you go to like a Jets game, a Giants game, and there's 90,000 people in the stadium, and oh my God, you see like a kid you grew up with, and you take a selfie, or you run into J Lo, or I don't think that happens often because she's probably sitting in like one of the boxes and stuff like that. But it's just so wild to me, and so magical that you can have this like amazing experience all through the pain of running 26.2 miles, right? Like it's just so, and it's just so wild, and so I love that, man, and that's just so special. Not only are you honoring your mom, but having this moment with like 42,000 other strangers.
Um, if I can share a short story, I know you and Dawn just lost your dog,
Yeah.
right? And I know how painful that is, and I know it's difficult. And we went through the same thing last fall. And matter of fact, when I was running Berlin, I was very much on the fence whether I was going to go at all because the dog was really, really sick. She was a 14-year-old dachshund, and my dog, right? So um, that Sandy stayed home. Dog needed a lot of care. We decided best to stay home, and I went to Berlin, spent a couple of days getting ready, just kind of stayed in the hotel. We really didn't want to have much fun. 5 a.m. morning of race day, so 11 p.m. New York time, Sandy calls me and says, "Look, Bill, I was at the vet today, and the kids are on their way home, and this afternoon we're gonna have to go to the vet, and we're gonna have to put Gracie down." And I was a mess. When I'm like, all right, I'm here. I'm gonna run the race. I had some club mates there with me, and I'll get this done. And I got about it, but I was choking up and upset. And I get as far as mile 4, and I kind of pulled off the side of the road because I was just like, maybe this just isn't today. And this guy comes up to me, and again, you're talking about like this finding support in this community, right? American guy. So I saw the American flag on the back of your jersey. You look like you want someone to run with. Nice, Mike. Ran the next 22 miles with me, chatting with me, keeping my mind off things, talking about everything under the sun. The pictures I have in Berlin where we're crossing the line, that's Nice, Mike, holding my hand up, and getting me over the line. But that's only the running community, right? I mean, it's just he's getting married in June. I've got to arrange for a wedding gift. I got to get so yeah, it's just it's a remarkable community, and that's why the those are the people that make up the running community. It's the people that make up the charity runners. They're the ones that are there to, kind of carry through the people that need carrying.
So special, and it's so powerful. Bill, my last question here for you, and this is if you've listened to the podcast, which I know you said before we hit record, you haven't listened to all 200 and plus episodes, but you've listened to a couple of them. Probably know this is coming. Given your experience and what you have experienced over the last almost 10 years here with us, how do you define the term project, or I was going to say Project Purple? I think that's an easy one. But how do you define the term pancreatic cancer?
Something to be solved, right? A problem to be solved as fast as we possibly can, right? And every resource, every bit of energy we can put to that, solving that problem, is a day, a week, a month, a lifetime that's available for somebody after that day to make their lives better. So it is a problem to be solved, and we've got to get it fixed.
You nailed it, Bill. Thank you. Thank you for allowing us to share your journey with us. Thank you for believing in what you've helped this to become here at Project Purple, for all the sweat and tears, for all the asking, for all the no's that have come your way over the 10 years. I'm sure there's been plenty. And again, no shade to anyone who said no, but maybe those people who have want to donate now. We're going to share the link in the bio here to donate to Bill's campaign for Boston. I know you're active on social media. So where's the best place if someone wants to connect with you? Maybe they're beginning their own running journey and would love to connect with you and learn more about how to do that. Where's the best place for people to connect with you, Bill?
Oh, I think Instagram is the best place, and it's WF Nugent.
Awesome.
And I'm happy to help anybody if they want to reach out and get some help or get some tips or just share. It's a ridiculously supportive community, and I'm proud to be part of it.
Well, again, thank you for all your hard work here over the last almost 10 years. And Monday's going to be here pretty quick. We are going to be at mile 21, which is technically the top of Heartbreak Hill. I can't wait to see you there. I'm trying to convince some of the group to get on a bike and ride around, which I was told by one of them on our team, they don't know how they can do that with a camera, but I said, we'll figure it out. But I can't wait to see at the top of Heartbreak. And there's a little backstory to this that I'll share. So my first Boston experience was I got a number, like, I don't know, 7 days before the Boston Marathon, didn't run past 13 miles. And similar to your story of meeting that someone to help you get through that marathon, I had that first time. And the top of the hills where that someone said, okay, you're good, I'm going because I got to catch a plane. It was a lot slower. But that area will always be very sentimental to me. I think it's not the end of the race, but there's also some big triumphs, and that is the end of the hills. And it's all downhill, as they say, from there, which, it's only 5.2 miles to the finish from the top of the hill there. And so there's a lot of meaning in that. And I think as you said before, like mile 21 in New York is like where you need that boost, where you need that push to get you through the finish line. So I can't wait to see you on Marathon Monday in Boston. But I'm just so happy for you. And this is pretty surreal. As I said, as we started this, you're the first official 6-star finisher for Project Purple, running with Project Purple in all of these races. And I'm going to throw Tokyo in there. And I'm going to say this, and I don't mean this lighthearted, Bill. I don't think we could have picked a better person for why you're running, what you've done for us. how you've kind of carried yourself over the last 10 years with us. And I've been blessed to see you, get to know you, meet Sandy a bunch of times, your sisters at various races, and I'm just so excited for you. And like I said, I couldn't think there'd be a better person to be that person to be the first, which won't be the last. We hope we have many more charity runners coming through our program to get their 6 stars through Project Purple, running each race with us. But really, really special for you.
Well, I will. I can't wait. I can't wait to put that big dinner plate sized medal over my head, and I am confident I will be bawling when it happens. So,
I love it. Bill, thanks for being a guest on the Project Purple podcast.
all right, see you on Monday.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Project Purple podcast. If you like today's episode, feel free to share this episode. Make sure you follow the Project Purple podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. That's a wrap of another episode of the Project Purple podcast. Until next time, please be safe.